Hello, I'm Michael Naziri. This is the Michael Naziri Interviews People podcast. And today with me, I have Ramsey, all the way from Iraq. His nickname is Gogs. And I didn't even know they had squat racks in Iraq. Tell you the truth. I saw you on Instagram. I came across you. I was like, wow, this is really interesting. And not only is it interesting that you're a powerlifter in Iraq, you are really strong, really strong. So,
Thank
when
you.
and how did you get into powerlifting?
When is like 5 years ago, I would say. I was 15. I just got in track and field in school. And this dude with me, my friend, which you can see a lot in my videos, he like basically like encouraged me to go to the gym and whatnot. I just went there and like as any other beginner didn't know exactly what I was doing. I was just doing random stuff. And like since a kid I was pretty really into like sports and the idea of competing. I never got to compete but as a kid, but I was really digging the idea. And as I got to the gym, I just like started researching on like internet, YouTube stuff about how to train, what types of like training, how like what is like at first like everything was like people were talking about bodybuilding in the gym and like that's the most common thing. So I just like researched it and like got into the concept of strength. Honestly, first I was more into weightlifting, but since equipment is a bit of an issue, I kind of went that powerlifting route. And yeah, I just like the strength concept.
How how long have you been competing?
I've competed like approximately a year and a half ago.
All right. So how
I
well this is a big this is like a not argument but conversation I have with a lot of people with that I know, friends of mine, on how often you should compete. I me personally, I like to go to about two meets a year. I like that 6 months of training to really to go to a meet. But I know some people that do 8, 12 meets a year. So what do you like to do?
I think that like you as you have your periodized plan for training, if you're like taking it seriously, you should have a periodized plan. I think you can like manage to like go to a lot more than two meets and like not be 100% at all of them, but you can do that. It's still probably not the best way to like gain the most amount of strength overall in that year. And that's why I'm not competing currently. Like I was just aiming for that 500 because I know like from experience with my body weight, I've dropped before to 62 kilograms and I was still lifting comfortably the same weights. That was way before I got like the 500 kilograms total. But like I'm comfortable in me dropping down to 59. I'm confident in that. So I was just aiming to get that 500 and then think about competing and actually like getting serious about it.
I'm pretty disappointed, because we went to war with Iraq, and I would hope that with all my tax dollars that you guys would be lifting in pounds, and it's really pissing me off at this whole war, and you guys are kilos, and we have no idea what you're lifting. We have no idea what's going on. Okay,
To
so
be fair, yeah,
so let's say you weighed in basically around 145 pounds, which is a weight class in like the organization that I lived in,
yeah.
145. I think it's from like 132 to 145. So you're basically that's well, how tall are you?
169 centimeters,
No one knows.
which I think is 5'6".
Okay, 5 foot.
I'm pretty sure it's 5'6".
Okay, all right. So you just a little bit below average the height, but
Mm-hmm.
the weight is you're very lean, and
Yeah,
so when you mentioned you did 500. That's a 500-pound total.
that's 500 kilogram total,
500 kilogram,
which is 1,100
1,200,
pounds.
1,200 pounds,
100,
a
100.
1,001. Hold on, let me break out the calculator here.
Actually, I think it's still.
500 times 2.2, yeah, 1100. In America, the math teaching is not that good, so
Yeah.
you gotta give me a break. Okay, so but still, an 1100-pound total at 145 pounds, and you were really only, how long were you powerlifting for? 5 years?
5 years with a lot of years that were wasted. If hopefully one day I reach something like as a elite athlete or something, it's not gonna be the story of like a committed teenager that went through it all the time. And
Yeah.
I would say that the times where I actually was training and I didn't like quit the gym is literally half. I would say it's like half or less.
Yeah. There, yeah, I mean, I didn't start lifting until I was like 20 years old. But I just interviewed a girl. It comes up like the Kooten super family, and this girl Naomi Kooten, 12
Yeah.
years old, 12 years old. She weighed 98 pounds. She squatted 225.
I saw that. That was impressive.
Crazy. It's crazy. I mean, she's a genetic, just it's crazy.
True.
And but she had a father who was a powerlifter from 1982. You know, he was an old powerlifter, so she was training since she was 8 years old.
Yeah.
But she's also genetically gifted. That's more than just training.
Yeah. True.
All right. So you mentioned we talked about just for a second the strict curl, and I asked if it's a thing in Iraq because there's only very recently a competition in the United States they started to do it again. So is it being done there?
You can find competitions for it, like random meets in gyms and stuff, but there isn't something that's like actually formal.
Yeah, you know what's going on in Canada. There's a couple guys that are running meets. They're doing an overhead press.
Yes.
And guys are starting to get irritated because now you have the strict curl the night before the meet, and now some places want to do the push press. It's becoming like too many things. It's getting crazy. And in my opinion, I never liked this when they started it. The competitions that are push pulls. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Only bench and deadlift.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the squat is the most important lift in powerlifting. Because the number one, mainly because it's the hardest.
Yeah, it's between the deadlift and the squat, I would say, even though I'm a bench specialist myself, but I would say that deadlift and squats are necessary. But to be fair, I don't think that overhead press would ever like become an actual thing, because we've seen that happen before in weightlifting. It was 3 lifts before, it was clean and press, but
Yeah.
then people started arching in the press, which
Yeah, they're
is
trying
dangerous,
to
unlike the
rules
bench.
that you can't move your body, but the rules it's tough to write it in. Okay, so
Yeah.
balancing lifting and work or school. How do you fit lifting into your life?
I think that being like living in Iraq makes it a lot harder.
Well, you got the
Like,
roadside bombs you got to deal with.
a lot. As like, yeah. Well, it's not necessarily just about that. It's just like money in general, like playing out how it works. Like the working hours, the minimum wage. We don't have a minimum wage, but like the expected payment of regular jobs and all, and the expected working hours, it's a lot more, especially the working hours. Like money is a little bit fine in comparison to how expensive things are, not in comparison to like other countries, but working hours, it's a lot. And studying is fine. I'm currently like studying online with the ISSA, and that's fine. Like I'm doing it with the job, and luckily for me, as lifting is very important, I decided to that I found a decent job. I rented the cafeteria of the gym, and I'm like just selling the supplements there and like the water and stuff. So like I can train while I'm working and studying and like just fit it all together.
That's cool. What are you studying to be?
Personal trainer slash like powerlifting
Nice. Very nice. You mentioned periodization, cycle. I call it training in cycles.
Yeah,
How
no,
week cycles, or what do you train in? Or what's your basic training method?
it's between. I like volume. I don't like volume as in like uh, per day, but I like volume as in like throughout the week. I really like to have a lot. I think that I'm gifted with recovery. I think I recover really well, and I try to use that a lot. Uh, so it's either depending on how life is and my situation and like how my past cycles were. I would either do 4 times a week, like 4 days,
Yeah.
basically, and it would be like main lifts every day with some minor accessory work, and like a fifth day with like recovery work slash deloading a little. Or I would do 6 days a week, one lift each day with a lot of accessory work. And honestly, that's the one I found the most success in. I would do a lot of accessory work, as in like RDLs and front squats, and a very underrated thing, pin squats. I found that very, very beneficial for me.
What are those pincer squats? What's that?
What?
A pincer squat?
Pin squat. A pin squat is like a pin, like how people use it in the bench press and the military press. You
Oh,
just take the squat from the
everyone calls it something different.
bottom
I know what you're talking about.
position.
Most people around here call it like a rack squat, or like you know. Oh, are you there? Can you hear me?
Pros of Iraq.
Hey, Gogs, you're going in and out. Can you hear me? There you go. I see you now.
Yeah,
You
I'm
hear me?
back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll say
pros of Iraq.
it's just different lifting languages. Even though we both speak English, like
Yeah,
even in America, different areas use different, explain things differently. Like I like
yeah.
rack presses. Some people call them, or like the pin presses, or like me personally, I call them lockouts. That's that's who trained me. He called it lockouts.
No, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about bottom portion where like starting the squat from like the below parallel or
Oh,
like
low
at parallel. Basically at my dead point in the squat, I take it from there. Yeah.
Oh,
I start from the bottom as like getting tight under the bar in that position. I found it very beneficial for my squat.
okay. You talking like almost like a box squat?
More
Are you?
kinda, but the bar is resting on something.
Oh,
Like it's
okay. So, I like that idea better than a box squat.
yeah, I think that if you try it, you'll find that getting the hips in the right place is a bit hard, but once you get used to it, it's pretty nice.
I think
Pretty
I'm.
neat.
I think I'm gonna try that. Have you ever coached anyone?
I've coached a few friends and people like who just like friends of friends. I didn't really advertise like for myself as a coach because like I don't want to go into it without being certified.
Okay.
Like uh, I like the people, like everyone I've coached, I told them that I'm not a certified trainer and that like it's just knowledge I've gathered from the internet and personal experience.
Yeah. Um. Okay. Here's a. I want to hear your view on this, right, from the other side of the world. What's your view on steroids?
Well, I've told you that I've grown up as a kid like liking the idea of competition so much,
Yeah.
and like I liked Bruce Lee and like all the stuff kids would like who like sports. Uh, Steroids always felt like so cheaty to me as a kid, and that it's like so horrible and bad. Now, as I'm studying to be a coach and stuff, I think that like, especially as there are a lot of bodybuilders in Iraq, and it's like predominantly the sport. Like if you're an athlete in Iraq, you're either a soccer player, a bodybuilder, or a wrestler. On like wrestling is very not it's very rare too, but it's that. And bodybuilding is like almost everyone is taking steroids. And honestly, in Iraq, in any sport, it's really hard for you to find someone, even at a low level, that doesn't take steroids.
Yeah.
It's really horrible what coaches are doing. They are even giving steroids to minors, and I mean 14-year-olds.
That's horrible.
Like I saw that the other day, and it was very fucking horrible. I wouldn't say that if you're an athlete and competing in a federation that is untested, I wouldn't be against that. I think that they should have that. But I myself would never like support it, and I would like very much be standing with like an anti-doping agency or something.
Yeah, I've never lifted in an organization that doesn't drug test. I always, if they don't drug test, I won't go there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there women in the gyms in Iraq?
Depends on when you're living. In the north, it's very common. In like the northern part where it's Kurdistan, they are much more open community and much more intellectual. Here in Baghdad, there are some. In like where I live, there are some. It's not like very rare, I would say. In the other side of Baghdad, like basically there's a separation by the river, and like on the other side, you'd find it more commonly.
Yeah.
It's not common, but it's there.
You
Like
know,
there are places.
like I've talked to a lot of people that have been lifting since the early 70s, and they say really that even in America, really girls weren't hitting the gyms a little bit till like the 90s. You know, earlier than that, they said it really was very rare to see a woman in the gym.
Yeah.
And then,
Sorry, I missed that.
oh, Siri thinks I'm talking to her. Even when I started lifting in like 2001, it was still the girls there were some girls in the gym, but they were doing cardio. They weren't powerlifting or lifting seriously.
Yeah.
And they would come into the gym and say, "Oh, I don't want to look huge. I don't want to gain all this muscle. I don't want to look like a boy."
As if it's that easy.
Yeah, and I say this over and over again, like all the time. Like my wife, she's a power lifter, and she's been lifting for a long time. And she would get pissed off, and she would go, "Do you think I look like a boy? Like I've been lifting. What's wrong with you?" And they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you were lifting." Like, well, you're not gonna, unless you're doing steroids like crazy, and you're not gonna put on muscle to the point you look like a boy.
Yeah.
At least that's my opinion. That's my opinion. I think the girls that lift, they do get a little muscle, but I think they look good. That's my opinion.
I think they look good. I wouldn't care honestly about like if women who are like muscular. But like I don't think you would get accidentally muscular.
No.
Like you got to have some serious nutrition plan for you to be a female and get accidentally get muscular.
Oh, in America, I ask a question to everybody whether they prefer lifting in kilos or pounds.
Yeah.
But, no, you're just, I don't know. Usually I tell them they're a communist if they want to lift in kilos, and I tell them to get out of here. I don't know what to do with you. Kilos. It annoys me.
I feel like pounds is for people who want to feel like they lift more weights.
Yeah, that's what everyone from out of America says. That's what you all say.
Yeah.
That's what they all say. It does sound better. What sounds better, a 500 total or 1,100 total?
Yeah, you're right.
A lot better, right, in pounds. Okay. Okay. Oh, this is one I don't know about you. Do you lift raw or equipped?
Raw.
Raw. Okay. And why? Do you prefer?
Because I can't afford equipped.
Well, okay. That's a good answer. You know what? That's the same answer why we started lifting raw. Same answer. We were in college, and you know what? I happened to have the money to do it, but we had a team of 30 people, and maybe more than half of them couldn't even get the money together to get a belt, like a real good belt.
Yeah.
And then to tell them to buy the suits and the wraps and the shirts, and it wasn't going to happen. And there happened to be this guy who opened up ADAU, was the Anti-Drug Athletes United, and then the guy who started, Al Siegel, died, and 100% Raw took over ADAU, and so now we lift in 100% Raw. But it's just something like I've never even experienced equipped lifting. I've never done it.
Same.
Yeah, never done it.
And to be fair, it's not just that's what I would answer now, why I wouldn't now do equipped lifting. But the reason since the beginning I didn't like it is because I've always just liked flat, being able to do stuff barefoot, almost fully naked, no belt, no near abs, no nothing.
Okay. A little bit off lifting, a little bit on lifting. Do you have a faith that helps to get you through life's toughest moments?
I don't know if it's a faith, but I really want to be something. I'm like a overachiever wannabe.
Yeah.
So just that, honestly.
And I know you've been lifting 5 years now, but has your lifting, right, the mentality, the training, the dedication, has that helped you to get through other parts of your life other than lifting?
I've never been dedicated, as I've said, but recently in the last few months, as going on and off training and life stuff and all of that, it just made me realize my priorities in life more, which, to be fair, made me much more dedicated to training. I don't think about training. I just go and do it every day. Been a few months on that way, and the few days I was oh my god, I have to train. A few days after it, I was it's not that I have to train, I get to train. It's a privilege, in my opinion, now.
What's going on with COVID in Iraq?
Zero healthcare. Zero prevention. It's really rare for you to see people wearing masks walking down the street.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, here in New York, I mean, we just went to go get ice cream for my kids, and you got to put the masks on, you get your ice cream with your mask on, and you go to the table, and then you could take the mask off and eat your ice cream. And then when you get up, you got to put it back on and go out. But there's still a lot.
Well, going into institutions, you have to wear.
What's that? Oh, I can't hear you. Hold on. Try again.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you now. I missed what you said.
Like going into institutions and whatnot, you have to wear a mask, but like stores, treats, not really. They like no one wears them, not even the workers.
So let's go into weaknesses. Do you have any weaknesses?
I mean, I'm easily influenced. I would say that. I don't know if that's a weakness.
That's a weakness.
To be fair, I would consider it a strength, but like that's the first thing that came to mind, to be fair.
Well, you could be influenced, I think, but as long as you don't do it just because you're influenced.
Yeah. But I think like, I don't know. I like that about me. Like I wouldn't consider it a weakness, but I think a lot of people would.
You mentioned those pin squats. You know what I mean? I might try those. So like I'm open to trying things that I hear from people. I'm always open to try new things. Do you have any lifting advice for someone new getting into powerlifting?
Plans are complicated, and setups and all of that is like gonna feel complicated, I admit, and like weird, and you can't find like a good coach, or it's hard for you to like understand it on your own. But it's really not as important as you think. You'll get into it, and it will all just get together on its own. Honestly, it's like probably one of the easier sports to get into.
All right. Let's see in Iraq. What do you prefer, dogs or cats?
I think I'm gonna go with like 50-50, but mostly cats. Like
That's
it's
the wrong
a
answer.
little
That's incorrect.
difference.
Okay. Okay. Listen, man to man, can you take lifting advice from a woman?
Yeah, sure.
I just got to a tougher player.
I've recently changed to sumo, and like I really tried to change to sumo before, because like looking at the studies of body composition and whatnot, conventional wasn't feeling right, and like I just couldn't find a good setup for sumo. But Steffi Cohen setup, her personal setup, worked really well.
Look at my wife. She has a good setup. At JM Naziri, my last name, JM Naziri. She's got her deadlift down to a science. It's like she's got it down really good. And if you want to really understand how not to deadlift, look at mine. I have the worst form. It just doesn't. You couldn't make up any more problems than my deadlift. All right. I know over here in the States, I've talked to plenty of people that have lots of problems with. They've pooped themselves while powerlifting. They've peed. They've vomited. Have any of these things, one of these things ever happened to you? You don't have to say which one. You don't have to embarrass yourself.
I've almost vomited, but actually no, never.
Okay.
But I've almost passed out a lot.
Oh, all the time. It's just that last post I put up when I deadlifted the 3 plates with the chains and the bands. If you see I just down on the floor for a second, I was totally blacked out. Oh, bands and chains. Have you guys heard of it in Iraq?
To be fair, I've not seen someone use them. Probably like only a few. I've only seen like a few times. I've only seen them being used a few times ever.
Oh man,
I do use bands a lot and chains, not as often, but I do use them.
I,
We have them, but no one uses them.
well, you know what's easy for me? I lift in my basement, so I don't have to carry 100 pounds of chains to the gym. You know what I mean? So it's if you go to a gym, like carrying bands is not a problem. But I do like the chains. Number one, you look really cool. You look really cool when you deadlift.
100%.
Yeah, you're the coolest guy in the gym. So that's
Yeah.
not one reason. That's the only reason, really. Uh, injuries. Have you had any major injuries yet?
I wouldn't say they were major, but like they got me off training.
Yeah.
I've torn my rotator cuff so many times as like a beginner. It's amazing how many times I've torn my rotator cuff and like just trying to figure out how to solve it. Kids, do your face balls.
Yeah. Right. You know what I've been doing? I call them reverse benches. Like I'll set my the bands on the top of the rack, and I'll hang
Okay.
off from it, and I'm just basically benching in reverse with the bands.
Yeah.
It just whenever I feel like my shoulder, like it's hurting, like it really helps. And even just hold it for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It's been helping me. I'm not a personal trainer or scientist or I don't even
I think that's very specific. Actually, I've never thought about it. I've or ever seen anyone do it. I think that would be like great for like specificity as in training as a powerlifter.
yeah, like I just thought I was like, hey, well, you're benching a lot and you
Yeah.
you have more muscle up here, and well, how do I get the back? Well,
Yeah.
I'll just bench it backwards.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's probably some people out there that know things. They're like, this guy's an idiot.
It's missing the external rotation, but it's just, honestly, I think it would be a very good exercise.
Oh, what's the dumbest thing you ever seen someone do in the gym?
Uh, I really want to say his name, but I'm not.
Oh, no, I don't say his name.
He's supposed to be a coach who is also one of the people giving a lot of hormones to young men and even older men. And I've seen him like doing dumbbell bench press, and he's not like doing partial or like partial. He's not even moving. He's literally just like, and I'm like, okay.
What about you ever see somebody take too many plates off of one side of the bar and the bar go flying?
No, people here are much more cowardly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've done that. I've done 2 times, especially with I found out. The camber bar.
Yeah.
Well, on a regular bar, you could leave 2 plates on one side. Not on that bar. I found out you cannot do that with that bar.
That's good advice for the future, as I've never used it. I've only seen it being used.
Okay. When you do your sets, do you have it planned out where you're going to do 3 sets for 5, or do you just do 3 sets for as many as you can get?
No, I've said that I'm like periodization and like cycle training. So mostly for the most part, I've not done like as many reps as possible in a very long time. So like, especially the last few months, it's all been like very planned out. And luckily, I've not missed a single lift, not even an accessory lift in the last few months.
Have you ever bombed out of a meet? Not like I know you're in Iraq and bombs, you freak out. Like, no, not that kind of bombs. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, not really.
Okay. Like I said, I bombed out of a meet one time, and it was because I was doing box squats,
Okay.
And after the meet, I went back and I looked at videos of I looked at where I was on the box, and I was like just slightly above parallel. And that's exactly where I was going at the competition. And I just couldn't get, just my head, I couldn't get deeper. I don't know. I don't understand the theory. These guys, they do box squats above parallel, and maybe it's because they do go into competitions with suits and wraps. It's different with that, but I don't know.
There is that, but also like the dead squat, especially for me recently, I will get out of the hole so easily. It's like above parallel by a little. This is where I'm like stopping there.
I know you make it look very easy.
Thank you.
So what's the right? Like I seen, all right, the heavy squat for you, right? You would blast right out of the hole, and then you'd get to like out. I can't get it on the video, but
Yeah.
like right here, and then there'd be like a moment where it was like, is he gonna get it? Is he not gonna get it? And then you get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I could see why box squats would help you, but
Yeah.
I got mixed opinions on it. Everyone here in America seems to love box squats. Everybody in America, they think it's the best thing in the world.
I agree. I don't really like them much. I can see why they could be of benefit. I don't like them either much.
You said you like benching best, right? You're a bench press guy.
I would say so. I'm assuming.
That's the best thing to have in the gym, because that's what all the guys want to.
Also, it's like the only one of the three lifts that has like a actual like separate competition for it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not good really at any of the lifts, but of the three, my best is the bench. Somehow I bench more than I squat. I don't know. Okay. So you mentioned in Iraq, right? The wrestlers, bodybuilders, powerlifting. It's probably some weightlifting, I would guess, right?
There is some, yeah.
At all those, you've been around all those competitions at all?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of competitions.
Now, I know for a fact in America, powerlifters are the nicest athletes. Friendly. You go to competitions here, if you don't know what you're doing, people will help you. They'll even if they're competing against you. And is it like that in Iraq?
Sometimes, but I wouldn't say that they are like better than other athletes in other sports.
Yeah.
I think people in Iraq are very egotistic a little. Like I'm talking mainly about the athletes, like Iraqi athletes. Like, as you get like this little bit good at your sport, you're like, oh my god, I'm so fucking good.
Yeah. Okay. I know you're very lean, right? Well, you said you're above the 145, right? When you train, do you follow like a bodybuilding type, like bulking and cutting?
No, but I do try, like when I'm in the loading phase of the cycle, I do try to, like, if I'm feeling hungry that day, if I've had like too much work to do, I'm studying and like I really need that energy. Yeah. I try to like not worry too much about my weights, especially like now, as I'm not like, I wasn't planning on competing soon. So
all right, powerlifting. Are there any muscles that you train just because you want to look good?
No.
Zero. The last person I talked to was like deltoids. He wants big deltoids to look good.
Like the only thing that would make me train outside of powerlifting is that I'm like, I wouldn't say into CrossFit, because God forbid. CrossFit.
That's the next question. Oh, no, don't talk about it. Let me ask you a question. Don't talk about it. This is my question.
Okay.
Get serious face. How bad do you hate CrossFit?
To be fair, like the concept of CrossFit is amazing. Like I myself would love hybrid training like that, like well-rounded athlete that's like pretty good at most things, great at a few things. Like that concept is so great. Yet, god damn, the coaches are so horribly bad, and like they've made the competitions bad, and like it's just horrible. I don't know how like they executed that great idea so badly.
Well, listen here. This is how I would do a sport of CrossFit, right? Because they like to call it like functional, like strength, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I said, oh, okay. Well, let's do like let's take a refrigerator up a set of stairs, right? That's something you got to do in real life. Let's anything heavy that you have to do in real life, like we'll put up a 90-inch TV. You know, that should be.
Okay.
They want to call it functional fitness. That's functional. All right, just get off CrossFit
Yeah.
before I start to get angry. Um, do you use pre-workout?
Yep.
Of course, you have to. You have to.
Well, I usually like before I wasn't so into it. I was like okay with it, but that was before I was like working. That was when I was only a student. So
How long have you been using the pre-workout?
I would say a year, maybe over a year.
Okay.
Not 2 years.
So what's the recommended dosage on your pre-workout?
It's half a scoop currently. That's my new workout I'm using.
And how many scoops are you using?
Half a scoop, but on loading days I do use a full scoop.
That's what I like to hear. Okay. Do you have any lifting traditions or superstitions? Anything special?
Tunes matter a lot, and I hate when people get like angry and like do the slappy thing before you squat or something. I'm the kind of person that approaches powerlifting as a weightlifter with. I'm like just
Well, let me. When I first started lifting, our team was very much into the slamming your head against the wall. We had one guy that used to take rubber bands and snap him, would smack him around, and oh my god, it was crazy. It was crazy. We used so much energy before we lifted.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And one day, this guy Bugs Bear, he's a really good powerlifter. He's how old is Bear? Bugs Bear, I think he's in his late 70s. But he's been powerlifting forever, and he came up to me. He goes, "You're wasting so much energy before you get to that bar." He was like, "Get up to that bar and take it out on the bar, you know, and not on
Yeah, I
your."
agree with that.
And he told that to me, and it was in the back of my head for five or so years. And anyway, for all that time, I was. But eventually, it really did. I really learned to be able to get up to that bar and take out all that energy on the bar and not, you know, it took a while for me to figure out how to do it. But that was the way I was trained, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't want to knock my coach because he got me into the sport. You know what the thing is too, my coach, he was coaching over 30 people at the same time, you know, while he was the strength coach at the college. It's a lot of people to train at the same time. You know, it's kind of hard to like do like individualized like little things and stuff, but he did a really good job. Are there any teams around you to lift on or to join, or is it you just by yourself?
There are actually there are, but like before I was almost with a team, but then like the team owner slash coach was kind of like trying to take credit for myself as an athlete while I was completely self-coached and taught. So I wasn't letting that happen, to be fair. I would rather like have to go outside of Iraq and compete outside of Iraq on my own expense than to like let someone take that credit from me.
Okay. You ever traveled anywhere?
I've been to Turkey and Malaysia.
Yeah. I gotta get outside the United States. I do. And plus, you know what the problem with me is? I speak English, but even when I go to other places in the United States, they have a hard time understanding me because like
Yeah.
you could hear my New York accent is horrible. I went down we were on a motorcycle trip. Me and my wife went down south, probably like in 2004, and we were way down south. And this waitress in a diner comes up to us and asks us what we want, and I said just a cup of coffee. She's like, what? Coffee? She was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, it's hot. It's black in a cup. She was like, oh, you're talking about coffee. I was like, you know what? I guess you're right. There is no W in that word. Doesn't make any sense. But
Yeah.
I speak my own language. Sometimes people understand me.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, thanks to movies, it sounds like you're speaking like more right than other people.
Yeah, right. Thanks for movies. But hey, this was really fun. And I'll be following you on Instagram at what's your Instagram name?
Ramsey.cogs.
Ramsey.gogs. That's GRAMZI
GOGS.
GOOGS. All right, follow this guy. Great squatter, great bencher, deadlifter, and a fun guy, nice guy. And
Thank you.
listen, I'll email you. I'll let you know when I'm going to put it up on the air. And
Okay.
had a great time. Thank you.
Yeah, me too.
Have a
It was
good
great.
night. Bye.
You too.